What age should you get an e-bike? Now, when we're talking about e-bikes, we're talking about electric mountain bikes in this case, and that is a pedal assist e-bike. So basically just a normal mountain bike with a motor and a battery strapped onto it, well, integrated into it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. None of this Suron or Talaria business or Starkvarg. Those are a different level. Today we're talking about pedal assisted bikes. So a little bit of history of my experience with e-bikes. Rode my first electric mountain bike in 2015. It was a Cube stereo hybrid back when I rode for Cube bikes, and it was when they still had external batteries. It was a really cool bike, and I actually documented it on this channel 11 years ago to this day was when that video was posted. So yeah, I've been riding e-bikes for quite a long time now. Yeah, loads of different e-bikes, different motor systems. Been lucky enough to try out everything pretty much. So yeah, today we're going to talk about what age you should convert, if you should convert at all. We're going to get into it. So firstly, I want to say the past few years have been crazy when it comes to e-bikes. The technology has just been on the up and up, and we're getting way more powerful motors with way more torque, way longer battery life than we used to get. And if you haven't tried an electric mountain bike, now is the time to do it, because it's the most fun they've ever been. From motors like the Avinox motor, the Bosch Gen 5 CX Performance line, specialized new motor, the Pinion MGU gearbox motor. Like, there's so much out there, and you need to try it if you haven't already. But it's not all sunshines and rainbows, and we're asking the important question if and when you should convert from a non-electric mountain bike, a conventional mountain bike, to an electric pedal assisted mountain bike. And I'm just going to say this, obviously now there is no right or wrong answer, it's all about personal preference, and in some case the law, which we'll get onto later, but there is no specific age range that you should ride electric mountain bikes, contrary to popular belief, because I had a lot of people tell me in the past, and still, when it, like at least probably once a ride when I go out, that I'm too young to be riding an e-bike.
Look at you, so young and happy. Where do the years go?
But yeah, there's nothing holding you back from getting an electric bike at any age. Or is there?
What?
E-bikes have kind of this, I think they've come into mountain biking with this whole villain vibe, where when they first came in, everyone hated them. And similar to when 29-inch wheels first came in, back when we were riding 26-inch wheels, pretty much everyone was against it.
Even if they do say Jehovah!
But over the past few years, things have changed. So the stigma used to be really bad with e-bikes. They were considered like a method of transportation for the elderly, or not the elderly, but the older generation. Or people with disabilities, or people that were just incredibly unfit and couldn't do the exercise to pedal a normal bike. So that was one of the things, that whole stigma was, if you're young and able-bodied, you shouldn't be riding an e-bike. That's for this type of people, not for you. Luckily that has got better in recent years, but we'll touch on that later. Another reason why you might be against riding an e-bike is the price. The price of e-bikes is pretty ridiculous still. Although there are some brands coming in now that are bringing in lower cost e-bikes with great motor and battery tech still. The one that springs to mind most is the new T-Wing. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll insert a picture here, but I think that was actually £5,000 for the full build, which is obviously a lot of money. But when you compare that to the prices of some like normal conventional non-e-bikes that we were getting the past few years, some bikes, non-electric bikes, are £10,000. So the fact you can get an electric bike for £5,000, brand new, is pretty good. So the price is getting better. Obviously there's still some bikes out there which are ridiculous money, like over £10,000, like upwards of £16,000 I've seen. So yeah, those bikes are extortionately expensive and unattainable for the majority of people, especially younger riders. So that would already make it completely impossible for you to ride an e-bike if you're in your teens or your early 20s. So unless you go secondhand and then you risk no warranty, and if the motor breaks you can have a huge bill to replace that motor, then it's kind of it's a lot of money when you could be spending that on a car to get to work. The price alone is enough to put off the younger generation, I would say. Like, a load of my friends would love to ride e-bikes, but they just have other priorities that they have to spend their money on, and they can't buy them, which is a shame because it means I have to keep towing them up all the hills. But I don't mind. Trail access is a big reason why a lot of people don't buy e-bikes at any age. Not so much in the UK, because we're very lucky. I think the rules are quite relaxed in the UK currently. We just have this 15.5 mph speed limit, speed light restriction to make the bikes road legal, and that's on pedal assisted e-bikes. But other than that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anywhere that you can't legally ride an electric mountain bike unless it's a footpath, like a public footpath. I think everywhere else is okay. Obviously, like private land, you shouldn't be on there anyway, but whereas some countries are very different. And I don't know much about the laws in America, but I do know there are some trails, or quite a lot of trails, where they're only for non-motorized bicycles. And I used to think that was completely ridiculous, and I still don't fully agree with it, but understanding the acceleration and the top speed that you can get out of some of these current generation e-bike motors, I'm starting to maybe see like why it makes a little bit more sense than it used to. I mean, I've seen some bikes be de-restricted and be going upwards of 30 mph on the flat, so at that point, is it still truly a bicycle? And should it share the same trail as people that are, you know, climbing up the hill at 5 mph, and it's like single track? Should there be a bike coming up at like 20 to 30 mph behind them? Is that safe? I don't know. But maybe that's a topic for discussion that we can have in the comments. I think it's just very different from how it used to be, where we used to be riding e-bikes that had, I mean, my first specialized e-bike was a Levo SL, which had 35 Nm of torque and 240 watts. And that's very different to my Amflow of today, which has 120 Nm and 1000 watts. So times are really changing, and it'll be very interesting to see if there is some sort of restriction put on electric mountain bikes. I hope there isn't, but I guess I'm hoping that everyone is still being respectful out on the trails, even with these super powerful, super fast e-bikes. So hopefully there shouldn't be a problem, but you never know. Another reason why I think a lot of younger people decide to steer clear of e-bikes is because of fitness. And I did notice when I originally went from riding normal mountain bikes a lot to then riding e-bikes a lot, I did lose a lot of like cardiovascular fitness, and a lot of my stamina was just in the bin. I just would go out on a normal mountain bike like once every few months after riding an e-bike for ages, and I'd be done after a few runs. You definitely don't burn as many calories on an e-bike, but the heavier bike actually, I would say, takes more of a toll on your upper body. So you are still getting a workout, and obviously you are still exercising, you're still spinning your legs, you're still burning calories, you are still improving your fitness. It's just nowhere near as much as you would be on a normal mountain bike doing the work yourself. And I think that's why a lot of people think, if mountain biking is my only sport and this is how I keep fit, I don't need an e-bike, I want to do it all with my own legs, which is completely fair enough. And if I didn't play other sports like football, and if I didn't run, then I would be thinking the same. So stigma, price, trail access and fitness are all reasons to steer clear of electric mountain bikes at a younger age. So those are all the cons. Now let's think about the pros. Now there are a lot of pros to electric mountain bikes, not just for the older generation, the younger generation, for everyone in between. All ages, all abilities, and we're gonna get into the pros. So you get loads more riding in, which not only is way more fun and you can ride way more trails, but it actually improves your riding skills much quicker in a shorter space of time, because you get to ride so much more. And I notice this a lot. My riding skills are improving a lot more because I'm just riding so many more trails and so many different variations of trails. And obviously you can get close to riding a similar amount of trails on a normal bike if you have insane fitness like XC racer level fitness, but personally I never had that, and it's not something that I have an interest in gaining. So I take the easy route, which is the e-bike route, to improve my riding skills. Another pro is e-bikes make climbing so much more fun, so much more enjoyable. I almost have as much fun going uphill now as I do down, because I'll just be popping wheelies up like rooty climbs and being able to get up there super easily. So e-bikes just make your ride twice as fun now, I would say, because not only do you have fun on the downhill obviously, but you also have so much fun on the uphill. You can also squeeze in rides now when you couldn't squeeze them in before, and I'm talking about if you want to do an after work ride and you only have an hour and a half of sunlight left. Normally you would be, maybe I won't bother going out because I won't get much riding in, but on the e-bike you can get so much in that short space of time, it's ridiculous. And it's just things like if you have plans in the late morning, you can get out in the early morning and get loads of riding in. It just makes people be able to ride when they couldn't before. And I think that really appeals to maybe the older generation, where if you have a lot more commitments in life, you have a family, you have a job which is taking up all your time, and you only have these very small like time slots where you can ride, where maybe your partner wants you home to help look after the children or something like that. Now you can get out in that hour and a half and still get loads of trails in and still keep your family happy at the same time. So something I've also noticed is more accessibility to locations that you would never go before. And I had this a lot when I've been going on trips with my friend Rob rides EMTB. I'd go and film for his channel, and a lot of the time on the e-bikes we managed to get ourselves in some crazy places, like the top of crazy hills, mountains that we would never get to on a normal bike. And you can just see some amazing views, and in our case get some amazing shots. So they are super useful for that. And I've just been able to see some incredible places because of electric bikes, and I'm very grateful for them because of that. One thing for me as well is I get a lot less fatigue throughout the ride, and I find my riding ability throughout the ride stays at a very similar level, whereas on a normal bike, I'll start off, I'll take maybe an hour to get warmed up, and then I'll have a sweet spot of maybe 2 hours where I'll be riding really good, and then I'll start getting tired and my riding will drop off and I'll start making mistakes, all of that. Whereas with e-bikes, I find I don't have that. I find it still takes me a little bit to warm up, but then once I'm warm, I have, I would say, like this flow state of riding for a lot longer because I don't get as tired. And then I just make less mistakes throughout the ride and I end up crashing less and things because I'm less tired. And that makes a huge difference to me. And obviously all of these things are great, but it's easy for me to tell you all these pros of electric mountain bikes and then say, oh, go and buy one. But in reality, you need a lot of money to go and buy one, like at least £4,000 or £5,000 and upwards. So I would say if you are thinking about converting from a normal mountain bike at whatever age range to an e-bike, if you can afford it, go and do it because you won't regret it. It's completely changed mountain biking for me, and I would say it's given me way more happiness and way more motivation to go and ride. And I actually went out on my downhill bike the other day, and luckily I had my friend Sam to tow me up Windhill Bike Park. He towed me up the push-ups with a tow rope on his e-bike, but if I hadn't had that, I did have to push up one run by myself and it was horrible. I know that's such a first world problem, but it made me think I'm so grateful for e-bikes and I don't ever want to do the pushing up, a really long push-up ever again, pretty much. So they're a lot of money, but they bring you a lot of happiness. So I would say it is worth it if you can afford it. Obviously don't go bankrupt, don't go into your overdraft for an electric bike, but if you have a bit of cash lying around and you're 50-50 thinking, should I do it, should I not? I would say do it. Just be aware that electric mountain bike tech is moving very fast at the moment, and if you buy an electric bike right now, it is very likely that your electric bike, your nice new shiny top of the line electric bike, will be outdated either by next year or the year after. So just keep that in mind. Ideally you'd be able to find something in the sale so you're not rinsing as much money on it, but yeah, bike tech is moving very quickly. But if you bought a bike with a current gen motor system, I think that will last you at least 5 years until your warranty runs out, and then maybe you'd want to change to something else, because currently how I see it, the torque and the power that we have and the battery life that we have in today's bikes, I would be very happy to keep using that for at least 5 years to come and not have any issues, I don't think. I think they're quite future-proof, especially if you buy new and you have your warranty, of course. So yeah, I feel like we didn't actually talk that much about the age range, which is what this whole video was supposed to be about, but I'm hoping we can have a conversation about that in the comments. And to summarize, I rode my first e-bike at 18 years old and I was instantly hooked. Sadly, they weren't that accessible back then and the tech was still pretty bad, so I didn't get to ride them properly then until a few years after. But I can't get off e-bikes now. They're my favorite thing. And I obviously do still enjoy the feeling of riding a non-electric mountain bike, a normal mountain bike, because of the lighter weight and they're just a bit more playful on the downhills. Easier to hop, easier to whip, all these things, easier to manual. But at the same time, electric bikes are getting lighter and they're getting better and better. And soon, hopefully, we're going to get to a point where there's an electric bike that will weigh very similar to a non-electric mountain bike, and it will be incredible and I'll be the happiest man in the world. Some people might not ride their first electric mountain bike until 70 years old. But wherever you sit in the age range, maybe over 70, there are massive benefits to e-bikes. And although it's not as frowned upon to ride e-bikes in your younger years as it used to be really frowned upon. But now, you know, it's slowly becoming more acceptable, especially as you see all the pros using e-bikes as their training tools. So yeah, I would say whatever age range you are, there's no right answer of when you should buy an e-bike. If you can afford it, if you want it, if you want to get one, don't be worried about how old you are. You still do get some fitness from them if you're worried about that. Trail access in the US, for example, there are specific trails. There's a lot of trails that you can ride e-bikes on. Basically, to sum up this video, if you want to buy an e-bike at any age range, do it. It'll be probably the best decision you ever make. And there's so many great offerings out there now. And there's also a lot of good stuff in the sale. Previous gen bikes that you can get for way cheaper than you can newly released bikes. So loads of bargains to be had, and I say bargains, obviously not bargains, but loads of discounts to be had. But it'd be great to hear your opinions and your experiences on when you think the perfect time is to switch from a normal mountain bike to an electric mountain bike. Yeah, just let me know in the comments. I always love reading them, and I try my best to reply to as many as I can. Like I mentioned before, I still get comments almost every ride where people tell me I'm too young to be riding an e-bike. A lot of the time it's actually hikers or walkers that they see me going up the hills and they say, "You're getting up there fast," and I say, "Yes, an e-bike," and they say, "Why are you on an e-bike?" So yeah, it's obviously still something that people think about. So that's why I thought it would be a good idea to make this video and you can get my opinion on it, and I can hopefully get your opinion on it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Also, if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, which is incredible. I've been dreaming about getting to 100k for years and years, getting the 100k subscribers plaque. So if you're feeling generous, please do consider subscribing, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.